So this is how I see the characters. Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of The Nerdy Brew, and here on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now if you like one of those things or all of those things, why don't you consider subscribing, and hit that notification bell, and becoming a fellow Brewster. So today, fellow Brewsters, first I want to say thank you for stopping by, having this cup of coffee with me, and I hope all is well with you. And also, don't dim your light for those in the darkness. Just keep shining. And I just want to say that this is a coffee talk about the book series of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Now, at my job, I was able to listen to a lot of audiobooks. And I'm going to keep telling you about my time with audiobooks on this channel. But I listened to the first 3 books out of the series of 5. And so the first book of A Court of Thorns and Roses, I give it a 7.5. I couldn't really get behind Feyre like that. I like Lucien. I like Rhysand introduction as a character. We'll talk about him. And I also like the conclusion. I felt like that was really exciting. And it tied everything up well. But yeah, just the romance and the tension and all of that, it wasn't my stilo. It has its own base. But I will say for the second book, I give that book a 9.5. I felt like it was an amazing sequel, growing out the world and just the implications that it had for the main character, Feyre. Now the third book, I'll give it a 7.0 out of 10. I feel like it was a great follow-up for the second book, and especially of expanding the story and getting to see the other courts, but the ending fell apart for me, so I only give it a 7.0. For those who don't know, A Court of Thorns and Roses is a captivating fantasy novel that follows the journey of Feyre Archeron, a huntress who gets drawn into a world of fairies, magic, intrigue after killing a wolf in the woods. They live in the land of Prythian. There's a wall that divides humans from the Fae, which are fairies, but not like Tinkerbell, but just powerful, magical, fully grown figures. They have their kingdom/regions called courts. They are named after intangibles in nature. The court is made up of 7 courts: the summer court, the autumn court, the winter court, the spring court, the night court, the day court, and the dawn court. Feyre is introduced to the spring court and falls in love with their king, Tamlin, which is called a high fae, and kicks it with his best mate, Lucien. The second book, she was at the night court for a bet with their ruler, Rhysand. The third book, all the courts coming together to rally against the antagonist with a godlike item, and his name is Hybern from Hybern. So Feyre is the main character. She is a human and is 19. So the Fae age hella slow in the series. At age 85, they become full adults. There is a character who is Feyre's aide, and her name is Alice, and she has her nephews. There's 2 of them, and they're 50, and she speaks about them like they're teenagers. I think for me, becoming a fully adult is at age 25. So the aging seems to be uncertain for the Fae, and they're hundreds and thousands of years old, and they age slow, and also at that, they're immortal. So this will be a part 1 of a youthful fan casting. They look probably about 25. They might be older in real life, these actors, but at the age that I have them, they look youthful. Some of them has played teenagers for a while, so those are those actors. But there will be a second video of an age up cast, so please make sure that you subscribe to the channel for when that video drops. But let's get on to the list. And we're gonna start with Feyre and her sisters. Daniel Rose Russell as Feyre Archeron. She's the main character and the youngest. She saw her mother die at a young age and saw her father lose his wealth at age 14. She learned how to hunt to help feed her family. She kills an unusually big wolf, which starts the series of events. The wolf was a sentinel sent out by the Lord of the Spring Court, whose name is Tamlin, and she leaves as a replacement for the dead wolf. We have Ella Parnell as Elaine Archeron. Elaine is the middle child. She is mild and reserved, but very sweet. In the first book, she gets engaged to a racist from a distinguished family. and in the second and third books, she becomes more prominent as the story goes on. Now for me, I'm starting to be a fan of Ella Parnell. I've seen her in Fallout. She's the main character of Lucy, and she was in this show called Sweet Pea, and in that show, it's a real dive into someone who was bullied, into when they want repercussion and things that they haven't healed from, and how that shows up externally in someone. And I like her a lot, but I feel like it would be a real different role and subdued character as Elaine Archeron. And that's who I would cast as Elaine. Peyton List, who was born in 1986, not the same Peyton List from Cobra Kai, but she as Nesta Archeron. Nesta is the eldest of the Archeron sisters. She remembers the wealth. She has resentment for their lot in life. She has resentment toward Feyre for going out and trying to do something for their family to survive. Best believe she was gonna eat that wolf stew that night. She seems to be stern and upset and argumentative every time she shows up. She becomes more prominent as the story goes on. I wanted to see an actress with a tough persona, so in The Flash, Tomorrow People, and in Picard, she seems to play mean well. Dennis Quaid as Mr. Archeron. He's their father. He was a traveling merchant on the sea. Trading like Corlys from the House of the Dragon, he made a fortune. He got involved with loan sharks and wasn't able to pay, so they ended up breaking his leg. He lost motivation after his wife died. He's in and out of the story. Now I pick Austin Butler as Tamlin. Tamlin is the High Lord of the Spring Court, which is a king, ruler, leader, chief. He's the one that makes the deal or exchange for Feyre to come in exchange for the wolf she killed. During their time, there's a lot of sexual tension between them. He is the introduction to the world. I first saw Austin Butler in this show called The Shannara Chronicles on MTV. He was the lead dude in the ensemble cast, but I loved him in Dune 2. I loved him in Bike Riders. That character in Bike Riders is a good base for a stoic Tamlin. Harrison Dickinson as Lucian. Lucian is Tamlin's right-hand man. He's the second in command of the Spring Court. He's not from the Spring Court, but he's the head of the security and a beast at fighting. He has a nice tea relationship with Feyre when they initially meet. He can't stand her. I felt all his sentiments. They describe Lucian as dark tanned with red hair, but for me, I pictured Fabian Finkel, and that's the actor who plays Kristen Cole from the House of the Dragon. But based on the fan art, I picked Harris Dickinson. Harris Dickinson was in King's Man, and I love that movie. Now let's get into the characters of the Night Court. The High Lord for the Night Court is introduced in the first book, but he is a co-lead in the second and third books. His name is Rhysand, and he has his inner circle, and we're going to get into that casting. Charles Melton as Rhysand. When we meet Rhysand, he's working with the antagonist of the first book, Amarantha. He accepts and plays that role as her errand boy, but as the story goes on, he's a warrior, a leader, a lover, and a friend. He really doesn't take no mess. Charles Melton was on Riverdale as Reggie. He was on an episode of Poker Face. Don't be alarmed, fans. This is only part 1 of my casting. Y'all might like my other pick better, so make sure that you subscribe to see who I pick for Rhysand next. So now he got 2 homeboys that he's super tight with, and they're part of his inner circle. So let's start with Azriel as Azriel. Azriel is the master of spies of the inner circle. He's quiet and reserved. He has a burn on his hand. The Fae heal fully, so that burn is a defining mark. He can control shadows, and he's Illyrian, which is a type of Fae born with wings to fly. Josh Houston is currently in the show Doom Prophecy on HBO, which is a prequel series to the world of Doom. He is the prince to the Galactic Empire. I had one actor picked as Azriel, but I saw him and said, never mind, I see him, and Azriel and him have a lot of similarities, but only looks and descriptions is why I would cast him. Wraith as Cassian. Cassian is a general of the armies, and he's also Illyrian. He is the 3rd top warrior in the Night Court. He's brash and funny, charismatic, and ready to fight at a drop of a hat. He builds a friendship with Feyre. The actor was in the show called Naomi. He was a warrior, a mentor in that show. It lasted 1 season. It was underwhelming, but I enjoyed him in it. And while reading the book, this is who I pictured. Madeline Klein as Morrigan, aka Moore. Moore is from Hewn City, a place within the Night Court, often referred to as the Court of Nightmares. She is the cousin of Rhysand and a powerful High Fae. She's described as breathtakingly beautiful, with golden hair, striking features that command attention. Now, the role, known as Morrigan, she holds a position of authority and is often called the third in command in the Night Court. She is a skilled negotiator and diplomat, often representing the Night Court in delicate political matters. Madeline is in Outer Banks on Netflix, 4 seasons. It's got commissioned for a 5th. She is also in Glass Onion, which is the sequel to Knives Out. Lana Condor as Amren. Amren is not a High Fae, but an ancient otherworldly being who was trapped in a Fae body long ago. Her true form and origins are shrouded in mystery, but she's described as having come from a realm beyond their world, and her nature is fundamentally different from everyone else in the series. She's a sharp-tongued, fiercely independent, and unapologetically confident. Amren is often portrayed as aloof, but she has a deep loyalty to those that she considers family. Amren serves the Night Court as second in command after Rhysand. Amren's power is incomprehensible and vastly exceeds that of even the most powerful High Fae. She is known to be nearly unstoppable in combat, though she rarely uses her full strength. Amren shares a deep mutual respect with Rhysand, who trusts her implicitly. Their bond is based on centuries of shared experience and loyalty. She has a relationship with a brother named Varian, and he's from the Summer Court, and we're gonna get into that. So speaking of the Summer Court, that's where the black people are. They have silver hair like Corlys or Targaryens, or those from old Valyria. That's how their description is. They were under the mountain in the first book, being held captive by the villain Amarantha. The High Lord of the Summer Court and his son died, and a cousin who was next in line to the throne became High Lord, and his name is Tarquin. Trevor Jackson as Tarquin. He's the youngest of the High Lords ever in Prythian history. Tarquin is unique among the High Lords for his progressive mindset. He seeks to uplift the lesser Fae and create a society where power is shared more equitably. Tarquin is described as an incredible handsome with sun-kissed skin color of mahogany, with hair that is bright and turquoise, eyes that reflect the sea. Trevor Jackson was in the remake of Superfly in 2018, and he was a main character in Grownish. I didn't watch that series. Feyre says in another life that she could have loved him, and she sees his good nature. Clinton Liberty as Varian. Varian is Tarquin's cousin and also a captain of his guard, but a prince of his own kingdom in the Summer Court. He builds a relationship with Amren. He likes her more than she likes him in the start. He's captivated by her, but on her end, it's only physical. He's perceptive and he's close with Tarquin, and he has an older sister that is protective of her, and her name is Chrysadia. Clinton Liberty is Adama Hall in House of the Dragon. Antoinette Robertson as Chrysadia. As mentioned before, she's Varian's sister, a princess, and the cousin of the High Lord Tarquin. She is political minded. She tries to sleep with Rhysand and he swerves her. The major events of book 2 and 3, she's a part of it. Antoinette was a character of Coco in Dear White People and in the movie series as well. Now let's get into the antagonists of the series. It won't be everyone, but just the big 3. And we'll start with Amarantha, and she was the villain in the first book. Emma Lard as Amarantha. She's cruel and cunning. Amarantha was originally from the Feylands of Hybern, where she served as a general in the King of Hybern's army during the last Human and Fey War. Her disdain for humans and desire for power stemmed from her involvement in the war, during which she witnessed a rebellion of humans against Fey oppression. Her hatred for humans intensified after the betrayal and death of her Fey sister, Clythia, who fell in love with a human. Cruel and sadistic, Amarantha delights in causing pain and suffering, both physical and emotional. Her sadistic nature is evident in her punishments and the games that she plays with her victims. She's cunning and manipulative. She's highly intelligent and adept in manipulating others, often using deception to achieve her goals. She's vindictive. Emma Lard is on Mayors of Kingstown. That's where you can watch her. That's where I was first introduced for her. Jon Bernthal as Jurian. Jurian is a very important character for the story and everyone involved. Jurian is described as ruggedly handsome with a warrior's build and the features that reflect his human heritage: dark brown hair, cruel and calculating brown eyes, and tan skin. Initially introduced as a historical figure from the past, Jurian plays a significant role in the ongoing conflict between the mortal and Fey realms. Jurian lived during the time of the First War between humans and Fey, over 500 years before the events of the series. Jurian was a renowned human general who led the rebellion against the oppressive rule of the Fey. He was instrumental in the humans' fight for freedom, which eventually resulted in a treaty that created the human and the Fey lands division. His relationship with Amarantha is that Jurian is infamous for his role in the downfall of Amarantha's sister Clythia. Clythia, a Fey, fell in love with Jurian, but he betrayed her, leading to her death. Amarantha killed Jurian in retaliation and imprisoned his soul in the eye of her enchanted necklace, where he remained trapped for centuries. He gets resurrected by the big bad Hybern, and he lets his presence known in the second book, but he is complicated. Jon Bernthal is one of my favorite actors today. Y'all know him as Shane, but his work as the Punisher, the show Mob City, and American Gigolo, Wolf of Wall Street, he is captivating and dynamic in everything he's in. Now, Luke Evans as Hybern. King Hybern is the central antagonist in Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses series, particularly in the second and third books. The King of Hybern was a prominent figure in the first war between humans and Fey, which led to the treaty and the separation of the Fey and mortal realms. Unlike other Fey, he never accepted the treaty of the division of the land. He has desired to restore Fey rule over humans and eliminate the wall that separates the world. Yo, so for those who don't know, is that if I was a producer, a creator inside the world of Hollywood, I don't know what videos, I'm gonna just link it somewhere, but I would always cast Luke Evans in something. And they say, you know, how King Hybern looks. He's a little older looking as the Fae, and I would just always cast Luke Evans. He will always get a job from me. I just feel like he's a very captivating actor, and I feel like he's underutilized, and I just like him. I like Luke Evans. I just feel like he's super talented, and yeah, I would just cast him as Hybern, and there we go. This was my part one of my youthful casting of A Court of Thorns and Roses series, depending if that looked like a, you know, the series would go on for movies, or if it would end up becoming a television show too. I'm not too sure, but that's my young casting of those figures. Make sure that you subscribe. Stay tuned for part two, where I have the aged up casting. But you could watch my favorite movies of last year, or you can also see what I would do if I ran DC. With all that being said, I'm gonna bring this video to an end, and I want you to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. Have a fantastic day, because you deserve it. This is that channel. Peace.
Mouth on top, kung fu, Bruce Lee chop, moon rocks, go Red Sox, tryna go far like boondocks, headshot, blunt stay high, talking shit, gotta pull up on they block, you fraud, I'm Couchgod, know you got a tax like a state charge, safe house, safe house, safe house.